Good afternoon, Year 3. I hope you've all had a brilliant morning. Science time now then. So we're going to continue with our second lesson on the human body. But this time, we're going to zoom in a little bit and look at one specific system in the body in particular. We are going to look at the function and the name of the bones and the skeletal system, okay? So let me just load up my slides, share the screen. Here we go. So last week, we found out that the human body is not just made of one thing, it's made up of lots and lots of different systems and lots of different things, okay? And you should have that in your book from last week. There are two main things that make up the human body, and we're going to look at them over this week and next week. So I wonder if you can pause the video now, who can rewind, what are we looking at here, and what are we going to be looking at next week? Good. So the human body is made up of bones. So we're going to look at all the different bones in the human body this week and why they're important and what function, why do we have bones and what do they do to support and help the human body. Then, once we've done that, we will look at the muscles, okay? So that'll be the week after. We're going to look in detail at all the different muscle groups and why do we have muscles? How do they help the human body? Everything that's in the human body is there for a reason, okay? It's there to help us do something. It has a function, okay? It's there to do something. So let's have a look then. So Tuesday, the 19th of January, 2021. What for today's lesson? To know that a skeleton is a framework of bones. Okay, we're going to come back to that in a minute. So we're looking at skeletons. We're going to do it through reading and researching because I'm going to use our curriculum book, our big body book with our fold-out skeleton, and you guys are going to go away and do a task at the end that includes some researching. We're going to do it so that we can label some of the major and main bones within the human body and on the skeleton. And then this is the extra bit. We're going to explain in detail what is their function. So what do they do? Why do they do that? Okay, then. Here we have in red at the top, the definition of the word skeleton. And I've got a picture underneath. Skeleton is a framework of bones. So it's not just one bone, it's lots and lots of bones put together into the shape of an animal, okay? It's inside the animal in most cases, definitely in humans it's inside, and we're calling it a framework of bones. So we're going to use this definition whenever we're referring back to the skeleton. So here I have an outline of an adult human skeleton, okay? Now, children do have them as well. There are actually more bones as a child, and as you continue to grow, that some of those bones merge together, so you have less bones when you are an adult. Okay, and most animals, because remember what we found out last week, humans are a type of animal, okay? Most animals have a skeleton. Some of them are a bit different to the human ones, but we're not going to go into that now. Some animals, such as jellyfish, do not have a skeleton. Okay? So we're just going to watch this little video here about skeletons. Let me stop this share. New share. Here we go. Okay, hopefully this works. Okay, so there we had a bit of a visual representation of what would happen if we did not have a skeleton? If you did not have a skeleton as a human being, you would just be a massive pile of muscles and flesh and organs all in a pile on the floor. You wouldn't be able to function very well. So, the first function of our skeleton is that it supports us, okay? And by that I mean it helps hold us up as it keeps us standing upright, okay? So our first function of the skeleton is to support the human body. And it did touch on another one there, okay? Second function of the human skeleton is to protect. Now we're going to come back to that one in a little while, so I want you to remember those two. The two functions of a skeleton: one, to support, keep us nice and upright. Number two, it protects. Let's have a look. Right, hopefully you can see this. New share, go back on to this one. So, you have now got your first task. I would like you to draw a skeleton, okay? You can use this image to help you, okay? Or if you've got your own or you want to find one online, you can draw it. Now, if we were in class, the activity that I usually do for this one is we get a long roll of wallpaper and we draw around one of our classmates, so it's a life-size skeleton. I'm very aware that we might not have the resources to do that at home, so it can just be on a piece of paper. If you have got big sheets of paper and you would like to get an adult to draw around you so it's a life-size skeleton, feel free to do that, okay? Once you have drawn around, or once you've drawn your skeleton, you have got a task. On the screen, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 names of the bones that are in the human body. They're some of the main bones. What I would like you to do is you are going to label where the skull is, where the rib cage is, where the collarbone is, where the hip is, where the spine is, where the thigh bone is, and where the shin bone is. Okay, so you need to label them. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to let you get on with that. I'm also going to hold this up to the screen so that you can see some of them on here, okay? Pause the video now. I would like you to label those bones on your skeleton, and then we'll have a check using our big body book. Pause the video now, please. And labeling those 7 bones on your skeleton. Where is the skull? That one might be quite an easy one. I think spine might be quite easy. I think the hardest one in here might be your collarbone. That's a pretty tricky one. So pause the video while you do that now, please, and then we'll have a look together. Okay, hopefully you've had a chance to do that now. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back onto here and back to me. So the first one I asked you to label was your skull. Now, it might be a bit blurry on here. Your skull is the bone inside your head, okay? If you tap on it lightly, you'll be able to feel your skull inside your head. So we don't call it our head bone, we call it our skull, S-K-U-L-L. Well done if you labelled that one. The next one we did was our rib cage. Now, if you can see on my image here, we have sort of the chest area, and it's called a cage because your ribs go from your chest all the way around and into your back, and they make this sort of cage-like shape. So we've got our ribs, and then when they're together, we've got our rib cage, okay? Our rib cage. So we've done our skull, we'll odd when it's back front, skull, and our rib cage. You can see that. So well done. Next one we're going to do is our collarbone. Now, hopefully, can you see here? Our collarbone, if you feel at the bottom of your neck, and across to your shoulders. This bone at the top here that goes from your bottom of your throat across to your shoulders, that is your collarbone, okay? Our collarbone. You can see it on there. Just well done if you said your collarbone. Our next one, let me fold out Mr. Skeleton, was your hip bone. Your hip bone. So I think that one might be okay. Your hip is where your leg joins to your body. Okay, so we've got hip bone here. The other one was our spine. Now your spine runs right from your bottom here all the way up to the top of your neck. Okay, it goes all the way down our body, and that is responsible for helping keep us upright, our spine. The next one was our shin bone. So if I unfold this and we look at the legs, your shin is this bone in between your knee and your foot on the front of your leg, your shin bone. You've got any footballers out there? We know that we wear shin pads to protect this shin bone here. And our final one was our thigh bone. So that's above, that goes from our knee all the way up to our hip. That's a really strong big bone in our body. Okay. Hopefully you have now labeled all of those bones that are on my screen now. So once you've done that, we are going to play a little game. We're going to play a game of Mr. Martin Says. Now, it's very similar to Simon Says. So just quickly, if you're not sure, if I say Mr. Martin Says, point to your skull, you need to do that. Mr. Martin Says, point to your collarbone, you need to do that. If I do not say Mr. Martin Says, then you just stay where you are, okay? Because I'm going to try and catch you out. Right then, I'll probably need to stand up on that. So let me. Okay, ready? Mr. Martin Says, point to your rib cage. Mr. Martin Says, point to your skull. Mr. Martin Says, point to your rib cage. Collarbone. Oh, I didn't say it. Well done. Mr. Martin Says, point to your hip. Mr. Martin Says, point to your shin bone. Mr. Martin Says, point to your skull. Collarbone. Oh, fine. Mr. Martin Says, point to your rib cage. Mr. Martin Says, point to your collarbone. Hip. Skull. Thigh bone. Fantastic. Hopefully, we're starting to learn where some of these major bones are on our skeleton through playing that game. Now, if you want to play that a bit longer, or you want to use that as a bit of a retrieval activity and practice game, you can play that with your adults at home, okay? It's really, really simple. We've got 7 of the main bones in our body, but let me just go back to this one. We now know the names of 7 of them. We know where they are, but we haven't talked enough about their functions. So obviously we don't have blogs, but there are 2 main functions of the human skeleton. Number 1, to support us. So we hold ourselves upright so we're not a pile of messy muscles and organs on the floor. Number 2, protect. Okay, we're just going to watch this little video here. So it should be Okay, right, we're going to pause it there. So, that video has hopefully given us some information about function. There's two that we were looking at, remember? Support, protect. So, your second task is we're going to look at some specific bones in particular. Your first task is I would like you to draw this bone. I'd like you to name which bone it is, so we know that from our activity. I would like you to say, what does this bone protect? Think about it as a bit of a helmet. It acts as a helmet to protect what is inside. What might be inside that we need a strong bone to protect? Okay, and why is it important to protect what's inside? So, pause the video now. Draw this bone, name it. Write me a little sentence about what does this bone protect, and then explain why it is important that we protect this thing. Pause the video now, do this one, then we're going to go through it. Okay, so pause it now, I'm going to give the answer. Okay, so hopefully we said that this is our skull bone, okay, in our head. Now, what is inside our head that needs protecting? You lot have got really good ones of these. We've got our brain is inside our skull, isn't it? Our skull protects our brain and it acts as a type of helmet. Now, why do we need to protect our brain? Well, our brain is really, really important. It sends messages all over our body. It's like our computer inside our head. So it's really important that we have something very strong protecting it. Now, I just want to show you, if I can, this as well. If I show you this, it gives you a nice visual picture. This white outline is our skull, okay? It's a really hard bone. And inside, you can see our brain, okay? So it's quite close to the surface, but this bone is really, really strong and it protects brain and everything that's inside our head. Really important bone. Right. Back to this. Our next one. Now, we talked about this bone earlier as well. These are lots of little bones, and when they're together, they make a shape. What is the bone called? Okay. What is inside this bone that needs protecting? You need to rewind and go back and watch the video. It did tell us. What is inside here that these bones protect, and why is it important that we protect them? So again, for this, answer these questions. Pause the video now and do that because I'm going to go through the answers in a minute. Okay, fantastic. So hopefully you said this is our rib cage. All these individual bones are our ribs. They're connected together at our chest and our spine, and it is our rib cage. Now, there's lots of different things inside our rib cage. The main ones are our vital organs. So we've got our heart, our lungs, and our liver, and other things like that. And it's really, really important that we protect these. They help our body function, okay? We need some strong bones to protect our heart because we don't want to get damaged or anything like that. Okay, final one for today's lesson then. We've got this bone and it runs all the way down up to the bottom of the top of our neck. Sorry, what is this bone called? The person in the video was calling them the vertebrae that run along it. We're not going to go quite into that much detail. You can if you want to. We're going to call it a word beginning with S. Okay, so what is it called? What does it protect and how does it support our body? Now, I'm actually going to help you a bit with this one. How does it support our body? We said our spine holds us upright. Okay? It gives us that framework so that we're not slumping over, which is why it's really important that when we say you need good posture, or you might hear adults at home saying, oh, I've got a bad back or something, or you need to look after it, it helps keep us in that upright position. Okay? And our spine inside here, remember last week when we talked a little bit about the nerves, all your nerves run through the middle of your spine. Okay, so that. So can you draw this bone for me and answer these questions? that brings us to the end of today's lesson. Hopefully you have on your skeleton and you've labelled your bones. You've played, and they call myself Simon, Mr. Martin Says, and pointed to them on your body and beginning to locate them. The next time you say, oh, I've hurt my leg, I might ask you, oh, which bone have you hurt? Have you hurt your shin or have you hurt your thigh? So we're using that scientific language. And we've drawn our 3 particular bones. We should have done this one, answered the questions. This one, answered the questions, answered the question. I would like to see pictures of those, please. So draw it and then write the answers to these questions in sentences, please. Have a brilliant day and we'll see you again tomorrow. Thank you. Bye-bye.